Sam, my dude, Saiyan Salamander here, and welcome back to another edition of Outrealm Heroes. For those of you new to this series, in Outrealm Heroes, I talk about possible crossovers Fire Emblem Heroes could have, and how I'd make the characters featured in these crossover banners. And this time I'm going to be talking about the Pokemon series. I think the easiest way to incorporate them into Fire Emblem would just be to add trainers and make them beast or dragon units, sending out their Pokemon instead of transforming into one. But I figured one of the spin-off games would make the perfect crossover, so I decided to make a banner based on Pokemon Conquest. Even though all the characters in the series back with their Pokemon, I decided to do something a little different for them in Fae. They're kind of like Tokyo Mirage Session characters for the most part, though that's not always the case. The unit usually attacks with their own weapons that I came up with, and the Pokemon then appear in the special skill animations and artwork too. That way I can always do a non-Conquest Pokemon banner in the future with other characters from the anime games, even if they use the same Pokemon to fight with as other characters. But that's enough stalling, let's move on to the first character. The first character I'll be talking about is the Rising Conqueror, Hiroka. Even if you've played Conquest before, you're probably wondering who that is, since there's not a single character that goes by that name. And that's because Hiroka is the heroine of Conquest. The hero and heroine don't have any default names like Victor and Gloria and Sword and Shield, and I didn't want to just name them hero and heroine, so I decided to give them their brand new own names. I didn't want to stray away from their hero theme though, so I decided to make it part of their names by naming the male avatar Hiro, and the female avatar Hiroka. Now that the explanation's out of the way, let's talk about their skills and stats. In the games, the player character uses Eevee, all the evolutions, and even the mythical Pokemon Arceus, but I decided to give Hiroka one evolution that wasn't available at the time, Sylveon. One of the most well-known fairy type moves is Fairy Wind, and since wind magic is usually used by green mages, I decided to make Hiroka a green mage infantry unit. He uses this adorable little cinnamon roll instead of a big ass book to attack. Fairy Wind grants Hiroka +3 speed, and since she's a fairy type, it's also effective against dragons. I don't know how broken this ability is in Fae, but since Sylveon was the first fairy to be introduced, I wanted to reference the fairy type's immunity to dragons. So in Fae, Hiroka completely nullifies dragon damage. I did nerf it slightly so that if there's only dragon enemies remaining, it reduces damage by 75% instead. That way, if there's only one dragon unit left standing, or she's up against Dragon Emblem, they still have a chance to beat her. Like I said, this might be a bit too good for a weapon, especially considering how Hiroka is actually the 4-star demote unit of this banner. So let me know if you think I should nerf it a little bit more still. For her skills, Hiroka's got Aegis, Infantry Flash 3 at 5-star, and Attack Speed Push 3 at 4-star rarity, finally demoting the skill so it's a lot easier to obtain. As for her stats, she's got really good attack and speed, but her HP, defense, and resistance could use a bit more work. Overall, Hiroka is an incredibly powerful unit, a character that no dragon foe in the game would ever want to go up against, and it turns out to be the perfect character to counter this next hero I'm just about to talk about. Even though this character would probably get clapped by Hiroka and Fae, that doesn't mean he's not an incredibly powerful unit in his own right, and that unit is the first great unifier, Nobunaga. There's a fair few different Pokemon that Nobunaga uses through Pokemon Conquest, with all of them being powerful dragon types. Kabite, Hydreigon, Zekrom, even a shiny Rayquaza. But in Fae, I decided to give Nobunaga a Zekrom. In Fae, Nobunaga is a blue infantry dragon unit, with his weapon being one of Zekrom's signature moves, Bolt Strike. It grants Nobunaga +3 attack and gives him a new skill I created called Dragon Orders. It's basically ground and air orders combined with an increased range of 3 spaces instead of 2 spaces, but it only works on dragon allies in order to balance the skill out a bit. Finally, Nobunaga also gets access to Heavy Blade 4. He also has a fantastic personal skill called Ambition. In Conquest, Ambition grants Nobunaga another action and grants him the chance to make his foes flinch during combat, so it's effectively a powerful Gale Force. I really wish we had more skill inheritance space, since being able to give 5 skills instead of 4 would be incredible to have on such a good fodder unit. Being able to transfer Steady Impact, No Follow-Up Free, and Joint Go Dragons all at once. As for Nobunaga's stats, he's basically an all-rounder. Dragon units have a decent amount of BST, so while his attack and speed are his highest stats, his HP, defense, and res are really good too. He even has a super boon in attack and HP, so you can make him even stronger or increase his bulk by buffing his HP even further. I didn't think it'd suit his character to give him a super bane though, so I decided to not give him one. Overall, Nobunaga is a fantastic dragon unit, and it's probably one of the best Gale Force units in the entire game, with his ability to stun foes when Gale Force activates, which would work perfectly with a Wings of Mercy or Escape Room strat, so Nobunaga can clear the path for his allies. Moving on from Nobunaga to his sister, the next character I'll be talking about is the Lullaby of Ransai, Ouichi, and her partner, Wigglytuff. In Fae, I made Ouichi an infantry staff unit. A lot of the time, staff units are really weak in Fae, but Ouichi isn't pulling any punches. Her weapon is named after one of her skills in Conquest, Soft Light. It grants the unit +2 defense and resistance, Dazzling Staff 3, and effectively Breath of Life 4, with the added bonus of granting a new effect I created to herself and her allies, Safeguard. For one turn, it prevents those affiliated with the Safeguard status protection from out of combat debuffs like Panic or Chill skills, which makes her an amazing ally to units whose weapons rely on out of combat buffs, as it means they can't lose them and are able to fight freely. She also has a really unique exclusive special skill, Sweet Song. It's basically a combination of Sing and Recover, which makes Ouichi Fire Emblem Heroes' first dancing staff unit. For other skills, she's got Wind Firebomb Plus, Wind Boost 4, and Wrathful Staff 3. If you've watched my Stardust Crusader edition of Outrealm Heroes, then you'll know this isn't the first tier 4 boost skill that I've theory crafted in Fae. And like last time, I'm recording this video in advance, so maybe we've already got a tier 4 version of the skill by the time this video goes live. But since as of me recording this video it doesn't exist yet, let me tell you what Wind Boost 4 would do if I was designing this skill. If foe's HP equals or is lower than the unit's HP -1, the unit gains +8 speed during combat, and heals 20% of HP stat if special activates. I think it's a really great skill. The unit gains a little bit of an extra boost in its stats, and even has a way to heal up the unit's HP, so it's easier for Ouichi to stay healthy so that she can activate her skill easier. Speaking of her HP, the stat is insane in order to reference Wigglytuff's extremely high HP pool. In fact, she's tied with Millennius for the highest HP stat for a ranged unit, and she's only beaten by a handful of units for the highest HP stat in the entire game too. She has a bit more BST compared to Millennius though, being an infantry unit. Besides, her stats are a bit more effectively distributed too. The rest of her stats are still fairly bad, but they're a lot more workable, and even though it's harder to merge, Ouichi still has some pretty decent stats when maxed out. Onto the final character of the Conquest banner is the Warlord of Ignia, the little monkey Hideyoshi, alongside his partner Infinite. I was originally thinking of making Hideyoshi some kind of red unit because of him being a fire type user. However, because Infernape is based on Sun Wukong from Journey to the West, and Hideyoshi's alias is Little Monkey, I figured having some sort of staff resembling the Monkey King would be fitting here, which is why I made Hideyoshi a Lance infantry unit. His weapon is called the Gokuzaru staff, since I decided to name it after Infernape's Japanese name. It accelerates his special cooldown and increases his speed by 4, but decreases his defense and resistance by 4. It also allows him to attack twice if he initiates combat, making it the same kind of weapon that we got from the recent ninja banner last month. To be honest, I was thinking of buffing the effect a bit, since I don't think it's that amazing of a weapon. It can't be refined, which makes sense because the Brave Sword can't be refined either, but you can get a +3 speed boost from a weapon refined without having to drop the unit's defenses by that much. So I figure a +5 speed increase and a -3 defense and resistance decrease is efficient enough. However, I think it's a little bit too early to power create the ninja weapons just yet, so I'll keep it the way it is for now. Hideyoshi also has an exclusive skill based on the same skill he has in Pokemon Conquest. In Conquest, it raises the user's energy for 3 turns, and also makes a foe drop an extra treasure box once defeated. It's kinda hard to translate into Fae, so I just decided to give him a variation of Hero's Blood. I figured it makes sense to scale his special damage off his highest stat, and raising Hideyoshi's energy could kinda translate into boosting himself and his allies' stats. Maybe? I don't know, it might be a bit of a stretch. I mean, he's known as the second great unifier in Japanese history, so I guess he's unifying his allies and inspiring them to boost their stats. I also added the skill Live for Bounty in his special, since I figured it wasn't much of a buff, it kind of was just a nice bonus, which I thought referenced his Conquest skill well. For the rest of the skills, I gave Hideyoshi Brazen Attack Speed 4, Spurn 3, and Rouse Attack Speed 3. I was originally going to think of a Desperation 4 effect and giving him the skill, but I couldn't come up with a good way to boost the skill, since I didn't think just making the skill easier to activate was enough. Overall, Hideyoshi is an incredibly fast unit, and he definitely has enough power to earn his title as the second great uniter. Or I guess the third uniter, since I think the player character counts as the second one. Speaking of the player character, let's talk about the Grand Hero Battle unit that we'll be fighting against in order to add them to our barracks. And it's actually a character I already mentioned at the very start of the video. The free unit to go alongside this banner is the Warlord of Aurora, Hero. I mentioned that last time I'd be switching up the Tempest Trial heroes for a Grand Hero Battle hero, since I want the crossover banner units to be a permanent addition to the summoning pool, with a brand new event occurring when they get released. But since I haven't come up with a new game mode yet, I'm just keeping it as a Grand Hero Battle for now. As Hero and Hiroka are both just different gender versions of a playable character in Conquest, their stat spread is really similar. The only difference is that Hero has slightly more points than a few stats because as an infantry sword unit, they get slightly higher BST than Hiroka. As for their partner Pokemon, I figured I had to give at least one of the two versions EV, so I decided to give Hero EV. with his weapon being called Last Resort, one of the most powerful normal type moves in Pokemon. In Pokemon, Last Resort can only be used when every other move in Pokemon's arsenal has been used. However, in Fae, it works like a Spectrum Session skill, combining Blade and Shield Session into one fantastic weapon. As a free unit, I couldn't go too crazy with the skill, so I just gave him Reposition, since as a player character in Conquest, you're the one who decides where to position your unit. So I figured it was a fitting skill. I also gave him Vantage Free at 5-star rarity, as well as Attack Speed Gap Free at 4-star rarity, in order to add the skill to the Grail Shop, so it's a bit easier to get the skill instead of having to sacrifice New Year Anna or Summer Harmonic Mia. Overall, Hero definitely needs some skill investment, as he's a free unit, so his base skills aren't great. He's a great player phase unit with his preferred weapon. And who knows, maybe if I make refines for the Outrealm Heroes at some point, I can make him a fantastic mixed phase unit too. That covers everything for the Heroes of Conquest banner, so I hope you enjoyed the latest installment of Outrealm Heroes, my dudes. If you did, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and go follow me over on Twitch, which will be linked in the description below. Also linked in the description is a link to my Discord server, in case you wanted to interact or hang out with the rest of the Salamander squad. So if you want to talk about Fae, anime, and other random stuff, then please go check it out. I usually plan a few videos ahead, but let me know which other series you'd like to see appear in Outrealm Heroes, and maybe I'll talk about them in a future video. That's all for now, so I'll see you in the next time, my dudes. Bye!